Welcome back to Start of the Week. Monday it is, here on the Morning Show on the Rise News. I'm Rufai Hosseini.
I'm Adesuwa Moran.
And I'm Shaitu Atigari. Good morning.
Now, GENCOS, or the generating companies in Nigeria, are one part of the three divisions of the Nigerian power sector value chain. Since the privatization in 2013, there has been clear separation of responsibilities between the generating, distributing, and transmitting divisions.
The existence of GENCOS was part of a bid to improve the power sector as initiated by former President Goodluck Jonathan, which allowed private investors to take control of infrastructure previously belonging to NEPA or the PHCN.
So joining us now to explore the prospects, challenges, and the way forward for GENCOS in the last 6 years is Dr. Joy Ogaji, currently the Pioneer Executive Secretary of the Association of Power Generating Companies. And until her current role, she was a team lead for regulatory and transaction and monitoring unit of the Presidential Task Force on Power, while she also doubled as the legal advisor to PTFP and its chairman. Good morning, Matt. So Joy talking to you all the way from Abuja this morning. How are you doing, Matt?
Good morning, I'm fine.
Okay, I just want you to, let's talk about the challenges in the last 6 years with GENCOS, and also start talking to us about, has it really met the hopes and aspirations President Goodluck Jonathan had for it when it all started for generating companies?
Thank you for that question. With regards to the generating companies, they had their obligations set out in the privatization documents, specifically the performance agreement with BPE. Now, just like the distribution companies, they signed the performance agreement on the 1st of November 2013. And one of the KPIs contained in the performance agreement was to recover capacity within the first 5 years, starting from 2013. By 2018, October 31st, they were expected to have recovered up to 5,000 megawatts of available capacity. If you check the records, even as we're talking, if you go to the National Control Center at Oshogbo, if you check online, you will see www.ensong.com. You will find out that the generating companies have exceeded the 5,000 and currently hedging towards about 8,000 megawatts of available capacity. That alone shows you that the Goodluck Jonathan plan of reforming the sector has worked only, especially in the part of the generating companies, because they have not only recovered the expected capacity, but they have exceeded the benchmark of 5,000, and now they are edging towards 8,000, itching to even recover more. It will interest you to know that currently we have installed capacity of 13,427 megawatts, with an expansion capacity plan for the generating companies that can double that capacity. But then I now come to the challenges of the generating companies. Now, part of the performance agreement stated that the generating companies were to recover capacity, while the distribution companies also who signed the performance agreement were to offtake that power through a middle entity called the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company. Now, it was so designed that the NBET was to pay for the generating companies 100% of what they are generating. And the transmission company, who more or less is like the transporter of the power generated, was also meant to take all that is being generated. I know you are not strange to the media back and forth with the DISCOS and the transmission claims and counter-claims. You are not giving me enough power. Transmission companies saying you are not taking, you're rejecting power. So it leaves the generating companies right in the middle of all of it. And also, not only just the lack of dispatching of their power, from that 7,500 megawatt that is available on average, and sometimes we even edge, like I told you, close to 8,000 megawatts. But on average, from 2013 to 2019, the average available capacity is 7,500.
Okay.
I want Nigerians to listen to...
Okay, Dr. Joy Ogaji, a lot of Nigerians will argue with those figures. They will say, when you say average, what do you mean? Because those numbers have dwindled with even less than that capacity for a while. That's one. The second part of it, they would say all of this is all rhetorics, because if it was that exciting, if what you've been doing is that out there, why are Nigerians not seeing improved power in their lives? They can't run their businesses and the likes. And also, if the GENCOs are doing such a great job, and you have also a distribution infrastructure on ground, why the other agreement signed with the likes of Siemens to be able to distribute over 20,000 megawatt capacity and the likes, in a couple of years from now? So why do you still have those agreements on ground if, as you said, the GENCO is pushing out power like it's supposed to push?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And it will also go a long way to enlighten Nigerians who have been in the dark as to how the power sector works. Now, there are terminologies which I can't blame Nigerians to all understand. We have what we call the actual capacity, which is what the Nigerians are seeing. Because power, power is unlike water. I cannot bottle it. Like each of us in Nigeria, I'll be surprised if there's any Nigerian except somebody who is not earning income here that does not have a generating plant. We all have one. Unfortunately, even me, I have one, in spite of the fact that I'm the executive secretary of people generating power. So if you put on your generating plant without any load of taking that power, that generating plant will keep generating. It will not stop. Once the gen set is on, it keeps generating. So if it is incumbent on you, the owner of the house, to plug it to maybe a TV set, a fridge, or whatever load-consuming equipment you have at home. That's the same thing with the power sector. When we generate 7,500, transmission is weak. It cannot take all of that. Although right now, the TCN MD said they have the capacity to take up to 9,100. I cannot verify that because that is not my role. So our role is to generate the power. So the bottleneck is between the transmission and the distribution. And if you check the Siemens report, Siemens clearly states that transmission cannot take more than 5,000 megawatts. So Nigerians can't blame the generating companies for not generating. I'm generating, Nigerians are crying, yearning for more power. And I'm generating a lot more. That is not even the...
Please go on, please go on.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, there's a report by
that is not
advisory power team saying that the power sector only last month lost 1.9 billion naira due to insufficient gas supply. Now, should gas generation still be a problem, seeing as gas in itself is a natural resource in Nigeria?
Thank you for that question. I wanted to add to what I was saying before you asked your next question. If you just allow me, let me just round it up very quickly so that then I'll answer this current question. Now, the conundrum the generating companies have faced here is a matter of 6,500 available. Out of that, on average, the distribution company is able to take 3,500 megawatts. So you can do the mathematics, 7,500 minus 3,500. That's 4,000 stranded and unpaid for. And in addition to that, the 3,500 that the distribution companies are able to, say, deliver to Nigerians, out of that, they pay just below 20% of that. So if you do your calculation, generating companies are generating on average 7,500 megawatts, but are only earning just about 20% income from all that they are generating. Now, that links to the gas suppliers. If you do your research and you have your statistics, you will realize that over 80% of power generated comes through gas sources. And that I will go forward to now add. Yes, the APT team has reported that about 1,000 plus is stranded due to gas. That is just a quantum. You know, I told you that installed capacity. Now, I mentioned there are three components in generating plant. We have the actual capacity, which is currently 3,500. What the distribution and the transmission, I don't know the fight they have, but that is what they are able to send to Nigerians. Then we have 4,000 stranded, like I mentioned before, from the available. So the available factor is the one I'm referring to as the 7,500. It's available. The gen set is on. So whether somebody takes it or not, the gen is running. You must fuel it, whether with petrol or with diesel, or gas in this case. So it has to run. It does not inhibit the running of the generator. It does not stop the generating plant from generating. They will have to keep generating, and they are available. You can cross-check and confirm these figures with TCN, because a day ahead, like today, for generation for tomorrow, TCN will call all the generating plants, ask them of the availability figures, and they will declare a day ahead declaration for TCN. And TCN has been recording it. These figures I'm quoting, I got them from the NCC site. And if you know, NCC is a subset of the TCN. So it is not a data that is being distributed or generated by the generation companies. It is a site that is accredited by the government to provide that information. So the last part of generation is the installed capacity. Now, installed capacity is a machine capability, the nameplate. When a particular machine is bought, the maker says this machine can produce 5,000. So that machine, all the generating companies put together currently that is connected to the grid, can generate up to 13,427 megawatts. Now, the issue of gas, if gas will be a challenge, of course, gas will be a challenge, but currently gas is not a challenge. I recently attended a meeting with the gas suppliers, that was about a week ago, organized by the Gas Aggregator Company of Nigeria, GECN, and they were asking the question, credible gas offtake. And I posed the same question back to them. I said, how do I tell you how credible my gas offtake will be when since 2013 to 2019, my generation figure has been, what has been utilized from what I'm generating has been edging around 3,000, 3,500, as if we are cursed, as if it's a cutoff mark that nobody must exceed. The average from 2013 till date, go and check it and verify it, is 3,500 megawatts. So as a generating company, how do I enter into more contract to offtake more gas? Recall that gas is a take-or-pay obligation. Whether you take it, you don't take it, you will pay for it. So generating companies cannot enter into more contracts to increase their volume of gas, knowing that what already they've signed up to is not even being utilized. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, the country has gone into several deals in recent times with firms in Russia to help utilize gas production in Nigeria. But I want to get your take, really, on the German Siemens contract that we have gone into. Do you see, or do you have any inkling that the power sector in Nigeria will work anytime soon? Can the Siemens deal save Nigeria's erratic power sector?
Thank you so much again for that question. The Siemens roadmap, because it is called the Nigerian Electrification Roadmap, initiated by Siemens, it is more like a diplomatic agreement. So I believe that it will go a long way, but I don't believe it's going to solve our problem comprehensively. And if you agree with me, that was contained in the concluding statement of the president, even when he made his statement. He said he's not sure it will solve all our problems, but it will go a long way to solve part of our problems. So
okay,
I align with the president.
Ogaji, sorry to butt in here. We have to go on a quick commercial break. We'll come back to talk some more on why this Siemens deal will not solve our problems entirely. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show here on the Rise News. We're still talking Nigeria's power sector with Dr. Joy Ogaji, currently the Pioneer Executive Secretary of the Association of Power Generation Companies in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogaji, for staying with us. Before that break, I was asking you about the German Siemens deal. We do understand that they are supposed to be providing increased electricity across the value chain, and they're also looking at multiple sources of generation. But you feel that this is not the solution we should be looking at?
like I said before we went on the commercial break, the Siemens program is going to solve part of our problem in the market. This is because the electricity market, like any other market, has different segments of the market. We have the technical segments, we have commercial segments. The Siemens report, although I have not seen if there are other agreements, but the one I was privy to, which I have reviewed, about 111-page document, deals focally with the technical issues of the market, and which is ensuring that the distribution and the transmission subsect of the power sector is worked on so as to take this stranded capacity I referred to in our earlier discussion. Now, like any market, you can't just deal with one technical part and think that you have solved the whole problem. So I am of the view that the Siemens document or the roadmap should be expanded to include the commercial aspects of the market. And when I talk of the commercial aspect, like I mentioned to you before the commercial break, out of 7,500 that is being generated, only 20% of that is being paid for. So if you have a technical roadmap that tells me in 2011, you're going to make that 3,500 megawatt to be 7,000 in 2021, then in 2023, it will grow to 11,000 megawatts. Then in 2025, it will be 25,000 megawatts. Bravo! And congratulations to the federal government. However, we need to take a 360 view of the market so that we don't go back and forth. Because prior to this time, due to misinformation, it has been said over and over that Nigerians were not having power through the distribution companies because GENCOS were not generating enough. And that was due to one of our problems that we still don't have solution to. Some of the problems we have in the sector that Siemens report should expand to incorporate or encapsulate, one of them is weak governance. There is serious weak governance and uncoordinated regulation in the market. Okay. Right now, as I sit down and speak to you, we don't know who is the leader.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We don't know who is the leader or who is coordinating the power sector. Yes, we have a minister of power and is a minister of state that has been appointed. We have the regulator. Yes, but then if you notice, the power sector is on autopilot. You can't hear this alone from me.
Okay, let me come in.
You can hear from every other player. We don't know who is in charge.
Let me come in here, Dr. Joy. I mean, you've talked about a retinue of issues, and let's just start unbundling them first. You say it's very difficult for you people to make collections based on the power you supply. But some of your members in the GENCOS too are the ones doing the willing buyer, willing seller idea now. That places like Magodo and some other parts of Lagos, you talk to them and you say, okay, I'm going to give you XYZ power, you pay me XYZ premium, and I make my money off it. Is that a sustainable solution in the long run? Secondly, you also say a great deal about the federal government and the power sector. And the former, and I know this tantrum is going to really go to the former minister of power in this country. That's former governor of Lagos, Fashola. And there was a lot of brickbats between the GENCOS and the foreign minister as regards this. And the minister too will always talk about this Power Act of 2005 and how the GENCOS too should abide by it. I mean, what are these issues? Let's put it down on the table now, because you're saying weak governance de facto. We all know that. What is the grouse you had with the former minister and the ministry itself and this willing buyer, willing selling scheme?
Okay, thank you so much. The question you have asked relates to the DISCOS. I represent the power generating companies.
Okay.
All those issues you have raised are all to the distribution companies. They, especially Ikeja to be specific, signed the Magodo contract. It is not a generating company that signed it. all the grounds they had with the minister of, the former minister of power was not the generating company. They were all the distribution companies. However, I will try to see how I can infer it to answer in the way it will impact the GENCOS. The generating companies, if you check your records, have been the compliant party in the market. They signed the performance agreement, they met it and exceeded it, notwithstanding payment was not paid. You ask payment was not made. You ask a question about why are we having collection issue. The way the power sector is designed, we generate power, we put it on the grid, transmission transmits the power and send to the distribution companies. Distribution companies take that power, sends to customers, bill and collect the money. Is expected to the way the power went, the other way around, the money should come back to the market. So the generating companies are supposed to get their own share and then pay their gas suppliers and pay their other obligations such as O&M and other staff management costs. But that is not exactly what is happening. I don't know if that clarifies your question.
That clarifies it.
Let me ask you, Dr. Ogaji, because there's also the issue of liquidity crunch when you talk about the power sector in Nigeria. Just recently, the federal government has secured, according to the finance minister, the $3 billion loan from the World Bank. There was also the 600 billion naira power sector intervention approved by the president recently as well. How much of all of this goes to the GENCOS? And I also do know that you took the federal government to court. You are in court over the 701 billion power assurance guarantee between the NBET, I guess. Where do you stand in all of that? And how much do you get in all of these monies? How much of an impact is that having?
Thank you so much for that question again. The issue of 701 billion, 600 billion, and the 3,000, is it?
$3 billion.
300 billion. I can't really.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, $3 billion. Yes. Sorry. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, $3 billion, which the finance minister spoke of. Let me take it from the 701. The 701 billion was released in 2017 in March, and it was geared towards covering this shortfall that I spoke of. When you generate 7,500 and only about 20% of the 3,500 is what is being paid. So that the 701 was released to pay the energy component, energy with emphasis. You can ask any generating company anywhere outside Nigeria that the contract Nigeria has is an energy and capacity contract. Now, what currently, because of the state of the market, the government has been paying is the energy component. The capacity component has been suspended. So what government used the 701 to pay was 80% of the energy component of the 3,500 megawatts that was taken, leaving the 4,000 stranded and nobody took and nobody is taking responsibility for, notwithstanding gas was bought for it. That's one clarification. Two, the 701 was also used to pay the gas suppliers 90% of their invoice, full invoice. If you check a generating company's tariff, out of its tariff, about 60% to 65%, depending on efficiency level of a generating company's invoice, constitutes a gas cost. So for every 24 naira, 60 to 65% of the 24 naira goes to the gas suppliers, which is why the 701, 90% of that was paid to the gas suppliers for gas they supplied to the GENCOS. And the GENCOS were paid 80% of the energy component, leaving the capacity, which covers the 4,000 that is stranded. Now, coming to the 600 billion, sorry. Coming to the 600 billion naira you referred to. We read it in the pages of newspaper. The federal government has approved it. We have not gotten any formal notification, but we believe that it is going to be implemented any moment from now.
Okay.
We have not received letter, but from rumor we heard, it is said that we may be paid 100% of the energy component and 100% of the gas cost to the gas suppliers directly. This is what we have heard.
Okay.
On the issue of the $3 billion.
All right, real quickly,
Should I go on?
Just quickly go on because time is not our friend on this, and I wanted to ask a rejoinder on that issue, but just go on quickly.
Okay, so the $3 billion, just as you read in the pages of newspaper, we have read it. We have not gotten any formal letter or any clarification as to how that $3 billion will be allocated, whether it is for transmission and distribution or whether it is for the whole value chain. We are not aware. So until I get better clarity as to what the $3 billion constitutes, I will not be able to answer you on that.
Real quickly, a big grouse by most people in the power sector and the general public is the fact that the GENCOs are not investing enough in the power stations. What's your take on that? That's the grouse. They say they're not investing enough. You just have 20 seconds to answer that question as we wrap it up. What's your take on that?
Okay, again, that is not for the generating companies. That is for the distribution companies. They have been accused of not investing enough in their infrastructure. If you recall my introductory statement, I told you the GENCOs signed the performance.
Okay.
The generating companies have the generating companies have invested so much. You can verify that from the BPE, Bureau of Public Enterprises, which have come out to say that the generating companies have exceeded even their expectation in the market. So the generating companies are still investing and still willing to invest. They all have expansion capacity.
Okay, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you.
To get more power.
We'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Joy. Really appreciate you, Ogaji.